This week on the podcast, I run into Bruce and Conrad at a podcast conference. Davey Boy Smith Jr. tells some really funny Owen Hart stories, and I make my mom sing like the late, great Nikolai Volkov. Enjoy the show.
This is the Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, relax. You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's personal journals that enter into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I am a comedian. I am doing comedy shows. I'm a participant in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, please. Just like Mo Big Dog did, he's going to email me his address, and I'm going to send him a Japanese DDT ticket. You can also use social media, spread the word, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or the best way that you can support, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, children's book, microbrawlers, keychains. It will all be sent to you when I get back home from the Fringe. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. That's right. This is going to be the last week that I will be home in Chicago for about a month. And then when I get home, I will be deep entrenched in Chicago. It is all in weekend. It's not even Memorial Day weekend. That's not even what it's called anymore. It's just all in weekend. We are celebrating all in, and then also the idea of Memorial Day. To get to all in weekend, I have to get through the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which I will be doing. And if you're near or around the Fringe, spread the word, come to a show, come to many shows. They're always different. They're always fun. One of the highlights of my year, and this year we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to have 4 special Ed Fringe shows documenting my time at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And I think I'm going to highlight a lot of the comedians who come on my show and play a lot of the show. And you'll see as it plays out. These should be 4 very special shows coming up in the next couple of weeks. But right now, I got a podcast to do. Usually about my travels in the week of professional wrestling. Usually happens on the weekends. But during the week this week, I was the host of the Hall of Fame at the Podcast Movement in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is kind of funny, I guess, because later on in the week, I went and wrestled at the Hall of Fame for professional wrestling. 2 completely different things, professional wrestling and podcasting, but very similar in that we can both do them in our underwear. That was similar to the kind of jokes I told on stage at the Podcast Movement. And there wasn't much wrestling represented at the Podcast Movement this year. My new buddy, Jim Perry, the promoter of Defy Wrestling, he's got a podcast called Euphomet. Dan Franks, the bigwig over at the Podcast Movement, he used to be a professional wrestler, still digs the scene. And the 2 big dogs, the guys running the podcast world at the moment, Conrad, Thompson, and Bruce Prichard, were there to take in the festivities, and they jumped on the podcast with me.
Nice to see you guys here.
Yeah, it's cool to be here with podcast royalty, man. Thanks for having us.
You keep on putting. You can stop putting me on.
No, I mean, you hosted the Hall of Fame. We're doing stuff in the afternoon.
You know what? Fuck you. You're using shit. So yeah.
You're happy to put a kibosh to that.
Oh yeah, we'll just stomp on that. No, it's but truly, really and truly, you are podcast royalty, especially when it comes to the wrestling genre, the original, and we just try to like get on those coattails and ride them as far as we can.
Bruce, you've been in wrestling for so long, right?
45 years, yeah.
45 years, but now we're at the Podcast Movement, and like, you said we talked on the phone, and I was like, you're kind of like a rookie at this now. Is it weird to feel like a rookie in a thing when you've been such a veteran in a thing for so long?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it does, because you think that when you've been in entertainment, you've done all the different things that I've done. I didn't know what podcasting was and didn't get it, didn't understand it. And when I talked to you, it was all about the love and the passion. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, okay, that's cool. I want money. And
especially
now,
as a wrestler or in the wrestling industry, that's how we think, right?
Yes.
It's hard to take that part of our brain out of it.
But at the same time, you love wrestling, you love performing, and this is performing. So now, I hate to admit it, but I actually love it as well. So
I hate to admit it.
You fight it at first, but yeah, it's not.
I don't want to like this.
I don't want to. Yeah.
Well, you thought at first, and I remember you telling me, and then Conrad, you can kind of help, like how you molded a little bit. I think you were scared that you thought this was just going to be like giant shoot interviews, and maybe shoot interviews have gotten a bad name over the years, and maybe that's why the stigma of it. But has that changed for you, and has Conrad helped change that for you? And Conrad, have you helped change that for him, or is that even not a thing?
I don't know. I think that there was a perception of what I thought it was going to be, and I think that when I got into it, I also really had nowhere to go in the wrestling business. As far as I was concerned, I was done with every avenue that there was.
You milked it?
Yeah. I was like, man, I was done, so it didn't matter. I was willing to tell at least my version of stories, and I never really liked when other people did the expose or different things like that. I try to tell fun stories and just a unique perspective.
But you did open up. I mean, you were pretty guarded in those first episodes, and you can hear a change in your approach. Why do you think that happened? Why did you sort of let loose originally and sort of loosen up a little bit?
Because I stopped caring.
There you go.
I really did. I just got to the point where I stopped caring, and I didn't care what other people thought anymore.
Conrad, do you see these as like... Because the word shoot interview has gotten such a weird stigma over the years, and so like, is that on your mind when you've been, obviously with the one with Rick, and now, I think something to wrestle with that's really blown up in the podcast.
Sure. No, I mean, I don't really think of it as a shoot interview. I like to think of every episode as almost like, as crazy as this sounds, like a golden book. Did you have those as a kid, like the little children's stories? Your mom would read you a story before you went to bed?
No.
Well, it's like this little golden book, and there's all these different ones of Winnie the Pooh and whoever. And so that's what I wanted this to be. Is so we have different cover art for every episode, and it's like, hey, Bruce, tell me a story. And that's really the way this all started, is I would say, hey, Bruce, what happened when, and then I would ask a question, like the Radicals jumped from WCW to the WWF, and he would tell me a story, not about all the other stuff, but about this particular thing. So we have custom art now for every episode that sort of shapes what we're going to be talking about, and it's one topic and one story, and not so much, so hey, what are your first memories of getting the business? Which is the way every shoot interview starts. And then eventually it's like word association, and then you shit on some guys. That's what shoot interviews were.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to, tell me what we did on the couch that day about the Radicals when they jumped, and let's go long form on that. And here we are.
And what have you guys taken away from this thing where we're at right now, the podcast movement?
That there really aren't any rules, and everybody tries to make up their own rules as they go along, and the most important thing is to remember that there aren't any rules. Vince McMahon used to have a saying, show me the stone. Because when somebody would say, no, we do it this way, we have to do it this way, his answer would be, show me the stone. If it's not etched in stone, then by God, we're not doing it. And even if it is etched in stone, by God, I'll break it and we'll change it anyway. So that's, I think, the most important lesson.
Anything that I don't know that you've liked here, or have you taken in anything, or?
Oh yeah, listen, it's been cool to network with other people who are trying to, have a different approach to, I hate these words, but content creation. Like they're using video and, shorter daily stuff, and people are doing stuff with Alexa now, and it's interesting we meet all sorts of characters. Yesterday we spent the day with the guy who played Kenny Banya on Seinfeld. Like that guy's starting a podcast, and it's called That's Gold, and it was just cool to sort of hear his story and how he's going to sort of venture into podcasting. I would have never had a conversation with Kenny Banya, but now we know him, so it's a weird deal.
So nice to have you in the same world, and it's so fun that I hosted that Hall of Fame, and you guys were here, and we're like representing our weird culture in this other weird subculture, right?
But they embrace us here.
Yeah.
So
everyone's a secret wrestling fan, right?
Yes, it's crazy, but it's nice to go out and quote the real world, and people actually embrace you and welcome you. That was nice.
Colt, how many people approach you and say something like, I used to watch wrestling, but not anymore. But hey, 2 weeks ago on Raw, that's the weirdest thing.
Well, it happened to me last night, and they all talk about the 80s, and I try to I sell them on, I go, underground independent wrestling is so cool.
Yeah.
If you come, and I know it's a different world from where you're at, Bruce, but if you come to a 21 plus show, I think that's how I try to get the people who used to love it, who are nostalgic about it. And I know yesterday at that speech you said yesterday you were selling nostalgia, which I thought was so cool. And I really like that because I think I'm doing that too, but I've never really I don't put it out that much where, the way I guess I used to, like just our memories and why we loved wrestling, and then that's why we might not like wrestling now because of TV wrestling, but because we liked it in the past, we can all come together in one place.
There's commonality with all of us.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about indie wrestling.
I totally agree.
And I think that when people talk about, I don't like the current product, there's so much out there to choose from right now that you can go anywhere. And like in Houston, we have Booker T's Reality of Wrestling that I think is the best independent wrestling in the nation. And it's all his students.
You should open your eyes a little bit.
Well, I'm going to tell you why.
Because it's 5 miles from your house. And he's your buddy.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So here's the weird thing about podcasting, I guess. There was the Shure table and all the people that worked at Shure, and I went up to them and I said, hey, I'm kind of curious about the mic that I use. Sometimes if I don't put it directly in front of somebody's mouth, it doesn't really catch the outside atmosphere. And they were like, oh, you got to download the app. And then they gave me the app, and then I had to futz with it, and I really didn't like the app. I liked the app that I was using before. And the guy was like, nope, here's what you got to do. And then he said he fixed it. And then that was Bruce and Conrad's audio, which I didn't like as much as I like as the audio before. And the same thing's going to happen when you hear Bob Holly later in the podcast. And I think for the other ones, I switched it back. So just like Bruce says, who gives a fuck about the rules? Who cares about what you're supposed to do with these mics and these apps? You do what you like. And that was the lesson I learned. Do what I like. And that's what I'm going to do with my own microphone moving forward. I did move forward. I flew home from Philadelphia, got home on a Thursday afternoon, and then right away drove the 5 hours from Chicago to Waterloo, Iowa, to take in the activities and the festivities of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Got in around midnight and then woke up Friday morning to meet my good friend Kyle, who kind of oversees everything at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and wanted to promote the place.
So let's talk about what's changed here at the Hall of Fame. I mean, you were on the podcast years ago, and the podcast has changed a bit now. So, but maybe we could tell me what's changed here at the Hall of Fame. And I heard there's a new expansion coming in, a lot of fun stuff, right?
What's changed here is that we've just overtaken the entire museum with professional wrestling items. So we're going to go through a renovation in about 3 months. And what's going to happen there is it's just going to be all new technology, all new feel. But we decided one last hurrah, let's just cake the museum with all professional wrestling. So what you're seeing here is unique because we have Rob Schamberger's artwork up. We have a lot of the NWA belt back here. We just have everything professional wrestling. So it's been fun for the fans that came this year to really see the museum in a one-time flavor they're never going to see again.
So in the future, what's it going to be?
Well, it's going to be technology. So as you know, we're on a podcast right now, so everything is digital, electronic, so you're going to have a lot of digital displays, but it's just going to be more wall graphics, more big presentation, more what you would think about with a professional wrestling, just a bigger feel to it, and we're just going to have a cleaner look. There's just going to be a lot more good presentation in how we present the entirety of the sport.
We're sitting in like a room full of so many great, can I say artifacts? Is that be a good word?
I would say that's right. I mean, look behind us. We got the $1 Million belt. That is Harley Race's boot there. That is Lou Thesz's statue that he had. Frank Gotch's Mason sword, and then we have all the artwork here. We have pictures of Frank Gotch wrestling in 1911 at Comiskey Park, so just goes on and on and on. I love this. You have the Hennig singlets right over here. Kurt Hennig passed away in 2003. We got 2 of his original singlets.
Those are the infamous neon ones where you could always see his little wiener pointing out.
I mean, and even you see it, they are pretty revealing, just even without anyone in them. And then the Larry Hennig jacket. We have Kurt Angle's singlet from the Olympics, so a lot of cool stuff.
And last time you were on the podcast, you said, hey, just if you're in town, just call you and come. Is that still how this works?
Oh, yeah. Come. I mean, we'll open up at any time. If you want to come at midnight, you're popping through. We'd love to show you around. There's so many great pieces of history here. Adam Pierce is right over here. We just went to the President's Hotel. It's a senior living center now, but it's where the NWO was formed in 1948. We just took a tour of that. It was remarkable to go in there and see where the Gold Room, where the NWO was founded 70 years ago.
In Waterloo, Iowa.
In Waterloo, Iowa. It's awesome. We love the history.
It did sound like you said NWO, right? We all know that the NWO was founded in a hotel room with like a shitload of cocaine and a bunch of hookers and just a good time. 2 completely different things, the NWA and the NWO. For more information on that Hall of Fame, nwhof.org. One of my favorite comedians, Brooks Wheelan, his brother works there. A little bit of information that you didn't receive at the museum. So there was just a lot of people around, dignitaries, wrestling fans, wrestling personalities. Wade Keller and Bruce Mitchell were there. I told him it was like seeing my childhood all over again. It was very cool to talk to Pat LaPrade, infamous French-Canadian, had a big hand in help producing the Andre the Giant documentary for HBO. And I ran into Brennon Martin, who wrote a book about his grandmother, which kind of reminds me of Mitzi Shore, who ran the Comedy Store. This was Teeny, who helped run Southern Wrestling.
The name of the book is Teeny, Professional Wrestling's Grand Dame, and it tells the story of my grandmother, Christine Jarrett. Her nickname, as she was known by the family, was Teeny, and close friends called her that. And basically, she went into the wrestling business in 1946, took a second job selling tickets. She was a single mother, working for Nick Gulas and Roy Welch, and she progressed in the business, became secretary, and then she started running the books for Gulas Welch and eventually running towns. And in 1977, she and her son Jerry Jarrett split off, and before it was all over, she was the most the most successful female promoter in the history of the business.
And a trailblazer.
Absolutely a trailblazer. I mean, there's not a lot of women behind the scenes now, certainly in positions of power, and there absolutely were not many back when she was doing it.
Now, Jeff was on the show last week. I did a fair show with Jeff. What's your relationship with Jeff?
Jeff and I are on good terms. He doesn't talk a lot about the book because the book gets into a lot of family issues. I mean, I tell it's a shoot story. I mean, I tell the truth. And
what's your blood relationship to Jeff, or is there?
Yeah, he's my first cousin.
Okay.
So Teeny had two kids: Jerry Jarrett, Jeff's father, my uncle, and then my mother, Carolyn. So my last name isn't Jarrett, but I'm part of the tree.
I was talking last week about the fair, and it's kind of like I don't like making my podcast controversial almost, which is weird because I was the one with the big lawsuit for it. But I wanted to ask him about his dad and fair shows and stuff, but it was hard because I didn't know what that relationship was. So, and I'm sure in this book, right, you tell everything about all the weird relationships between the Jarretts and the whole family.
Well, I certainly don't get into all of them. There's a lot that has gone on since Teeny died that's just not part of the story. But I mean, there's some family tension that's discussed in the book and part of the story that, as far as Jeff was concerned, he'd just rather not bring it back up. But Jeff and I we're on good terms. We just don't see each other very often.
Gotcha. And I guess with this women's, I won't say women's movement in wrestling, but like is Teeny. Here's Stephanie McMahon with her hey, and we're doing women's matches now, and there's been a lot of that that's been happening before. But do you hope that she gets some recognition with it, or have you heard her and her story getting some recognition with this kind of era that's kind of going forward?
Well, not really associated with the WWE, but absolutely, it's my hope that she gets recognition. That's the whole reason I wrote the book. I mean, I feel like our family owes everything to Teeny, and I certainly owe everything to her, and I didn't think that as many people knew about her as should and would want to once they found out her story. I mean, it's a really powerful story. We were a dirt poor family before Teeny came along, and she pulled us up out of the gutter.
These stories need to be highlighted. I don't know if you could see like this being a movie or something like that, or a TV show.
Absolutely, that's my goal. I mean, I wrote the book. It's not just a straight documentary or straight biography. I wrote it as a biographical novel, so it reads like a story, and you can decide that none of it's real and it's an interesting novel, or you can realize that all the people in it are real and everything, well, not everything in the book actually happened. I used some creative license. I wanted to introduce some characters. So the second chapter tells this story about how Nick Gulas and Rory Welch met. And I think it's a really entertaining chapter, but I completely made it up.
And so then I guess I want to tie this into the National Hall of Fame, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, which we're here today. So, and I guess it's obvious because of the history with Teeny and promoting and Memphis wrestling, would we call it that?
Yeah, she was more about Louisville wrestling. So Jerry split the company into, once he took it over from Nick, he split it in two. There was the Memphis end that he owned 100%, eventually sold a portion to Jerry Lawler. And then there was the Kentucky side. Teeny ran all the matches in Louisville, Evansville, Lexington, all the spot matches in Kentucky. And she had 25% ownership. Jerry kept 75% for himself. But so anyway, that's sort of how that worked. She was never really involved in promoting in Memphis. She ran Nashville, but she wasn't an owner there. She only had ownership control of things that happened in Kentucky.
And you're here trying to sell the book and get the word out about Teeny.
Yeah, that's my goal. I mean, I've been out making events around the country for the past couple of years. I'm trying to get the word out. I want everybody to know about her. I want a movie to get made. I'd love to see the Hall of Fame recognize her. I think she deserves it.
And if you want to grab the book, Amazon has the paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. Also, the audiobook is on audible.com and iTunes. And Brennon just represented the slew of people that were there. Oh, I also picked up Madman Pondo's new book. Google that if you want to grab that. I told Pondo he can come on the show and push it, but I haven't seen Pondo in a couple of years. And I wasn't able to do the Gathering of the Juggalos this year because I was doing Ring of Honor TV. Don't get me started. So like I said, there was wrestlers, there was people from the world of wrestling, and of course, at the Hall of Fame, you nominate wrestlers and personalities of the past, and Owen Hart was being put into the Hall of Fame this year, and so I thought it'd be really cool to talk to Davey Boy Smith Jr. about his Uncle Owen.
It's great to see Owen being honored and being inducted this year to the Hall of Fame out here because, I think that this is one of the, and you probably know this better than me, probably the biggest Hall of Fame outside of the WWE. And for him to be honored in such an awesome way out here is great because, unfortunately, due to the circumstances with Martha, he's never going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame in WWE, unless if she wakes up one day and decides that she's going to change her mind, which isn't going to happen. So, but
is she okay with him being inducted here?
Yeah, she's fine with that. She just wants nothing to do with WWE, and I understand that. If she wants to feel that way, she's entitled, and that's I understand. Growing up now that how she feels about it, and but I think that she would be happy to see him being inducted here. But yeah, like I said, it's really awesome. It's good to catch up with Uncle Bruce and Uncle Keith and Uncle Ross.
Well, I was going to say
and Bob Johnson.
They're all here, and I talked to your mom yesterday, and they all drove down from Calgary.
Yeah, no thanks to that drive. I flew in from New Jersey. We were talking last time about Billy Robinson. I won the first ever Billy Robinson open catch tournament that they had at Hamilton, New Jersey, the Billy Robinson Classic. So I placed gold in heavyweight. Super heavyweight, sorry.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Josh Burnett cornered me for it, and it was an awesome event. Leading up to it and training for it, and after it, I've had a groin injury, a pulled groin, which is really annoying, but it's getting better. Just that's what happens. You train, you compete, you wrestle, and it's recovering. It's just slow. Anyone that's had a pulled groin, they probably know my pain. It's not fun.
So this place must be. There's two people that I think like, oh, this is the right place because it's the combination of everything. And Dan Severn is one because he's being inducted this week. But also for you, like, this is both of your worlds because it is pro wrestling, but there's also regular wrestling because Iowa is so known for its regular wrestling. Yep. So I don't know if you had time to go around and appreciate the. I call it regular wrestling. I don't know if that's the right thing, but the catch wrestling that's around Waterloo and the Hall of Fame here.
Absolutely. I have not gotten a chance to yet, but I'm going to certainly go around and check out all the pictures and plaques. It was really cool to see like the old New Japan tracksuit that they had in the main room there. Man, those tracksuits, I swear, they last forever. I still have my first New Japan tracksuit from 2005, and it's.
You were a kid then, right?
Yeah, I was. And all the stitches are still in and everything. But it's awesome. Billy Robinson, he's got an area here too that's they've honored him here as well.
Well, you look great, man. It's great to see you here at the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, and
congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome that they're honoring Owen. Unfortunately, Brett didn't make it out this year, but he was honored here before. And yeah, like I said, I got to catch up with Tony Gurria, who was we always got along pretty good, and Brian Blair, and the first time I met Bruiser Brody's wife as well.
Can you give me one fun memory of Owen? Like as a kid, I'm sure he was playful with you guys.
Oh, absolutely. I was telling, I remember hearing funny stories when him and Davey would be traveling, and Davey would be driving, and they would drive up to they would be driving somewhere in the city or wherever, and pull up to a playground zone. and there would be like an old man crossing the street, maybe with his walker, and they'd be sitting there, and then while Davey was in the driver's seat, Owen would honk the horn really loud and hold it there, and then Davey would go, what the fuck, Owen? And then I remember, I think they told me one time that he did it once, and the old man kind of looked at Davey, and he walked up to him and gave him the finger, and then he walked up with his walker, and he was trying to argue with Davey, and then he went and sped off, and then Owen was kind of, looking at Davey like he was scared of him, like,
pointing his finger over.
Why are you doing this, Davey?
It was him, this guy.
Yeah, and then I heard, funny stories that when Owen would be traveling with Steve Blackman, or years ago when he would be traveling with, I think Ken Patera, Ultimate Warrior, that he would go, oh, look, there's Mizarks over here. You got to put on the mask. You don't want people to see you right now, Jim, because you don't have your face paint on. And you go, oh, and they don't care. No, put on the mask, put on the mask. And he'd pull out the mask, and then he'd quickly put it on, and his hair would be sticking out through the sides. And then they would pull up to the arena and ask where to park, and then they'd be looking and going, "Is that the Blue Blazer? He looks a lot bigger." And then Owen would be kind of sitting there, like, because he was a constant funny ribber, like him and Davey both, But those are a couple funny stories, and his impersonations were classic.
Yeah,
is
that where you get it from?
It's genetic. I had on a cassette tape. Years ago, Davey and Owen, when this was back way before caller ID and all that was available, and they were prank calling a bunch of people in the hotel, and Davey was calling them, like Owen was a real pest with some of these people. Like, he'd just call a random room, and like one of those really pushy salesmen, and then he'd be going, we're doing a survey here. We're with Domino's Pizza, and we're doing a special here with the hotel. And the guy would answer, oh, you know what? Thank you very much. We just ate. Yeah, so anyway, sir, if you just hear me out here, we're giving 2 topping pizzas, extra large soda, and 6 wings. And then he goes, oh, you know what, sir, thank you very much. Okay, hang on. I'll get it 3 pizzas, this, that, and pizzas even, it's great in the morning. It makes for great airplane food. And the guy's going, no, you know what, thank you. And then he would hang up, then Owen would call him right back. Listen, sir, I'm working on commission here. And then he was just... And it was
really before the internet. Like, that's what now we consider a phone and pass the time. But then there was just nothing. That was their internet. It was just calling people to waste time, right?
Yeah, that. And then Davey called, and he called with a Pakistani accent, and he was pretending to be a pizza salesman too. And then he was going, I come to your room and I deliver 2 pizzas. $2.99, and I come with the dancing cobra, and the guy's going, oh, you know what, that's all right. My wife's really scared of snakes too, but thank you for the offer. Listen, sir, I come with the dancing cobra, I come with the wings, and I come with the soda. You cannot beat that deal, And then, and then it would, they just hang up, and then they would keep calling, and then I remember hearing stories about Owen. I think he had pulled a rib on Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I think he had called from the hotel room, but he called Hacksaw Jim Duggan's room, and he was pretending to be the guy downstairs at the clerk, and then he was going, so you're one of those phony wrestlers, huh? And really mouthed it off to Jim, and then Jim's going, oh, why are you calling my room, you fucking asshole, or something. He goes, why don't you come downstairs and try me on for size? I'm the one with the glasses. You want to hit a guy with glasses? Try and hit me, And then Jim Duggan came downstairs ready to fight the guy. And then he said he saw Jim storming over. Then he said he saw Owen sitting on the sofa just laughing. And then he went, oh, and you got me again. Yeah.
Are those? You don't know where those cassettes are, huh? Find them.
I'm going to find them. I would love to release them because it was so funny. Davey's, he was good with impersonations, but his accent was so funny. I don't know where he's coming up with that, coming with the dancing cobra.
Listen, we're in the day of audio now. Those cassettes will be transformed into a podcast or an MP3, or we put them on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Those need to be preserved. Just like he is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you know what? When on those, I think they tried to call Bob, maybe it was Bob Hawley or it was someone like that, and they picked up the phone and then they heard it and they go, yeah, fuck off, Owen. And they hung up, which is so funny. They just knew right away. I you know what? Now that you've reminded me, I'm going to make a point of it to go through and find it. I think my mom might have it somewhere.
I'm going to text you every
Yes.
week on the
Keep
week
on
and
me
tell you.
about it. Yeah, those would be golden.
That's the thing about wrestling memorabilia. There's just so much wrestling memorabilia just probably in people's garages, in people's basements, in people's attics. And those tapes are probably so hilarious and just things they did. And now I would love to hear them. Everyone would love to hear them. I'll stick on Davey Boy Smith Jr. It's so weird to call him Davey Boy Smith Jr. I'll stick on Harry, and we'll see if we can find those tapes. Another part of the weekend, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and the reason, I think I come in every year is wrestling. There's a wrestling tournament, a wrestling show. There's evaluations. Jerry Briscoe comes. J.J. Dillon comes. Danny Cage of the Monster Factory is always there. And they're evaluating talent. I know a lot of people have actually gotten tryouts, and some have gotten jobs from being evaluated at these very matches. But when in Iowa, there's only one wrestler that shows up to the shows, and it's my man, Rory Fox.
Are you upset that Seth Rollins has taken your Iowa claim now?
I am a little bit. I was the Iowa guy for so long, but yeah, Seth Rollins took it to a completely another level.
What an asshole. What an asshole.
Damn, Seth Rollins. I'm going to burn this place down. I'm so mad.
That's what. Rory Fox, great to see you here in Iowa. Of course, you're all over these indies, and I don't know. Am I the only one that still loves the MTV show and reference? I don't. Maybe I'm showing my age here.
No, actually, Mitch Paradise in Minnesota wants to book me as Rapid Delivery. I said, hey, you give me the booking, I'll do it.
A booking's a booking.
That's right. And I want to let everybody know in 2019 is the 20th anniversary of Rapid Delivery, so. Everybody wants Rapid Delivery Rory Fox. I will bring it back in 2019, and I'll even bring out the bicycle that Les Thatcher wanted me to do, and I was like, no way, because I thought it was a rib.
Who can we put you together with? Shark Boy?
Yeah.
Who else was on that thing?
Shark Boy, Cody Hawk's still out there too. There's not many left of those HWA guys. Nigel Strictly commentary. I think Jeremy Jett's a trainer in Texas now.
Is that right? Yeah. So the basis of that show is you had moved from Iowa to Cincinnati,
yes.
And now you're back to Iowa, and you're still just doing the Iowa shows, and the Midwest shows. Right?
Yeah, we don't run into each other, that often because you're all over the world. I do mostly Midwest. I do Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, Missouri, and I'm staying pretty busy with just that alone. I came back in 2014. I don't know if you've heard it or not. The infamous match with Zack Ryder where.
Yeah, of course I didn't bring it up, but you did.
Yeah, hey, I'll bring it up. It got me on Talk is Jericho, so hey, thank you, Zach.
And you could say what happened.
Within that year, is this how are we doing? Oh yeah, my dick and balls was on Sci-Fi Network. You can't see it, but you hear a lot of cacking and squealing, and all the boys still say they can hear me say, "Oh my God." Yeah, I quit the business within a year. I gave up. I was like, there's no way I can go back to WWE again, do anything. And here I am. I came back. I took 4 years off, and I came back, and it was the best thing that ever happened with taking that time off. So wrestling all over.
And you're here at the Hall of Fame. You just part of the festivities, huh?
Yeah, I come to the Battle Royal, have a great time, get some heat from the crowd. I got chopped by a bunch of old timers tonight. The Hart Brothers punched me. J.J. Dillon eye gouged me. I got chopped in the head by one guy. Gerald Briscoe made me tap out. And the great part is I got to use his famous line earlier in the show. I go, hey, Briscoe, if I wanted to hook you, I would have hooked you. Well, guess what? He hooked me later. It was great.
Oh, look at you. You're super excited.
Absolutely.
I still love it.
I appreciate the old school so much.
You still love it. Look at you.
Absolutely. Oh. And one day there's going to be a Rory Fox Colt Cabana match. I don't care where it's got to happen, brother.
Yeah, we've never wrestled before, have we?
No, we haven't.
All right, we'll make it happen.
And I know I talked about the reference, but if you don't know, just YouTube, MTV, I Want to Be a Pro Wrestler. I think that's what the title was. I was like 19 or 18 when it was on MTV, and this is so weird. MTV used to be like the best channel. Now I know things are different. Times have changed, but you watched MTV. That's what you did. And then when something with wrestling came on, your mind was blown, and you record it, and you watch it a million times, and you know every line, and you know everything about Rapid Delivery Rory Fox. And then his pants split open on ECW with Zack Ryder, and everything is perfect. I mean, not for him, but for me. Oh, amazing. I had matches too. I had 3 matches. I wrestled Austin Aries, I wrestled Brian Cage, and then I wrestled this man, Bob Holly.
We're just in Iowa.
In Iowa. We're in Waterloo, Iowa.
Yeah, and this isn't your first. How many times have you come to this Hall of Fame?
This is my second time.
Okay.
Second time. And I've enjoyed it. I've wrestled you twice. I beat you once. You beat me. Now we need a rubber match.
We sure do.
We do. Yes.
Did you check out the museum this time?
I hadn't had a chance to, not this time. I just rolled into town today, and I'll probably get a chance to check it out later. But as of right now, I haven't yet. I've been there before, but you can go so many times and always enjoy seeing it over and over.
You've been around the whole, I'd say, the United States with, I mean, mainly with WWE, but just wrestling in general, and maybe even driving. I don't even know. But I think there's other Hall of Fames and other stuff around there. Have you ever been to any other like memorabilia type places with history for pro wrestling?
You know, I'm ashamed to say this, but I haven't.
I don't think that's a shame because I haven't either.
Oh, okay. Then I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad. No.
I think there's one in upstate New York.
I thought there was one in Texas too, isn't? Or maybe I'm not.
Well, there might be one in Texas also.
I'm not for sure. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that, but we can Google it and find out. But we'll do that later.
So this one is nice because I just learned it's an hour and a half from your house.
Yeah, it's an easy drive for me, and I still rented a car because I didn't want to put miles on my car.
Is that right?
Yes, I did. Even though it's an hour and a half.
What car do you have that's so unmileable?
It's. If I tell you, I've got to give you the back gas.
I know you just got super embarrassed almost.
I did. I usually don't brag about what I have. I don't take pictures of what I have and post it all over social media. But
you're a modest man.
I'm very modest. I'm very frugal.
But you drive a spaceship.
I drive an AMC Pacer.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. It's a fishbowl on wheels.
Oh, so it's kind of shitty.
It's back in the 80s. Yeah, it's actually it's an AMC Pacer.
So you like it just to drive around the town that you're in? Is that right? Is that why you wouldn't put miles on it?
Yeah.
Or it's not going to make it here?
I don't have a Pacer, Colt.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
No. I'm probably known for a sense of humor.
Yeah. No, I don't have an AMC Pacer. I have a Vega, a 1972 Vega that I drive.
Is that
okay?
Right?
No, I don't. I don't.
You can say anything, I believe it.
Okay, I've got a 2017 Jeep. So I drive. No, I don't have a Jeep. Jeez. No, I have a Jeep. It's a 97 Jeep Wrangler that I've built. It's jacked up really high, and I use that for climbing rocks and getting, during the winters, it's rough around this area, right? You live in Chicago.
I don't believe anything that you say.
No, I do have a 97 Jeep
You told me that you liked our match. Now I don't even know if that's real or not.
Well, I did like our match. I was hoping you liked it because I just want to make sure you're happy with it. But there's a few mistakes I made along the way in the ring, But yeah, I want to make sure you're okay with our match because I enjoy working with you and I want to work with you again because if you see my name on the other side of the paper, Bob Holly against Colt Cabana, you'd be like, I'm not working with that guy because he's not very good.
How many years wrestling now?
I lost count. It's like
over 25?
At least 25. I started in 86. So, but that's not wrestling every single day though.
Right, but just imagine if you go and the Undertaker is doing that to you. That's what this is for me. You've been wrestling 14 more years than me or whatever, 13 more years, and you're like, is this okay, Colt? Yes, you can do whatever you want.
Well, because I have massive amounts of respect for you, and I don't want to fucking disappoint you.
And it's the same the other way, and you're crazy to have to earn my respect, but it's very kind of you.
No, I love you. I do. I think you're an awesome guy. The first time I was on your podcast a few years ago, it's like I love this guy. I want to be your friend.
So much.
Yes.
That you kissed me in the ring today.
I did. Oh, I did do that. Yes, I did. For everybody out there, I gave Colt a kiss. Yes.
Well, Bob, can I say this as we end our annual wrestling match at the Hall of Fame? I love you too.
I loved you back to
You said loved. That was past tense.
Did I say loved? I said okay. I love Colt Cabana.
I love Bob.
Is everybody happy?
I'm screaming to the rafters.
Yes. Okay. We can all sleep at night now.
I don't know, guys, girls. This is such a weird thing. Bob Holly is the greatest, and I was there. When I got brought up, he was on the tail end of being in SmackDown, and he was a scary dude. Every single person on that roster was scared shitless of Bob Holly, except maybe The Undertaker and Triple H and Shawn Michaels, but all the young kids were so scared of Bob Holly. I don't know, you wish that you could go back and tell him, hey, you're going to be so awesome in 10 years, you should be that guy now, but that's just not how it works. And he talked about, being on a bunch of shit and being in a different mindset and whatever it might be. But it's things like that that make me hope that that's not the way I act towards people now. And I know I probably do, and I hope I don't, but I try to make myself conscious of it. And if I do find myself being a shithead to somebody else, like, I don't know, I might apologize, or I'll just be nicer to the next person. So that one person, they might hate my guts, but the person after them, they're into me. They think I'm a nice veteran of the world of professional wrestling. Well, it was a very fun week. Support your National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Also, I do know now, an hour outside of Dallas is the other Wrestling Hall of Fame. And one of my favorite Instagrams, Too Fast for Blood, he slid into my DMs and sent me a bunch of pics, and it looks amazing. So that's the next place we got to go. We hit up Iowa. We're going to head to Texas next, and we're going to celebrate wrestling, just like my mom, who's going to celebrate the life of Nikolai Volkov. And she'll do that right after these plugs and
upcoming events.
All right, the best way that you can support ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. Each week I'll choose one person who reviews and rates 5 stars on iTunes, and I'll send them a signed show ticket from the Japanese promotion DDT, my storytelling podcast, Pro Wrestling Fringe, plus past archives of this show, new and old, are ad-free on StitcherPremium.com/Colt. Use the code COLT, get a free month. ColtWrestling@gmail.com is my very public email. Maybe you're a promoter, want to put me on your upcoming show or convention, or even be documented on this very podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I actually just put up a bunch of fun new YouTube clips. Please check them out. Also a website, ColtCabana.com. That's where you can send something to my P.O. box. Upcoming Friday and Saturday, August 3rd and 4th, Lilithgow and Kirkcaldy, Scotland, W3LWrestling.com. Sunday, August 5th, Edinburgh, Scotland, shop.discoverywrestling.com. Saturday, August 18th, Dundee, Scotland, sweonline.co.uk. And August 3rd through the 26th, I'm going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival doing the comedy show with Brennon Burns, watching bad wrestling every single night. Reserve tickets, edfringe.com. When I get home, Thursday and Friday, August 30th and 31st, Chicago, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. Sunday, September 2nd, Schaumburg, Illinois, 10:30 to noon. I'm doing a live Art of Wrestling. The Young Bucks will be my guest, amongst others, Starcast.com. Sunday night, Chicago Heights, Illinois, WarriorWrestling.net. September 8th and 9th, Manchester, England, WrestlingMediaCon.com. Friday, September 14th, heading back to Cleveland, Ohio, AIWrestling.com. Intro music by the Ukulele Teacher on YouTube. Outro music by Superfun Yeah Yeah Rocket Ship. Podcast cover art designed by Jimmy Lee and photo by James Musselwhite. Thanks to Rory Fox, Kyle Klingman, Brennan Martin, Bruce Prichard, Conrad Thompson, Bob Holly, and Davey Boy Smith Jr. for coming on the show this week. Let's thank our sponsors, HighSpots.com, a VOD service that has all the greats, PWGs, $5 Wrestling, Kevin Steen Show, plus buy some AMA knee pads, gear, masks, even a wrestling ring. OneHourTees.com, they help run ProWrestlingTees.com. They also help run ProWrestlingCrate.com. Get 20% off your first crate with the code COLT. Put in COLT. All right, now we got hashtag AskCabanaMom. That's where you can tweet me at Colt Cabana with the hashtag AskCabanaMom. Ask her something you want to know about wrestling. Send her a picture, send her a short video. And here's the thing, we've been coming short on some good ones, people, so it was up to me. And in honor of Nikolai Volkov passing, I asked her if just maybe she could belt out a national anthem as good as him. Let's see what you got, Ma.
Hello, this is Mama Cabana from her studio, apartment in Chicago, Illinois. First, let me say my condolences to Nikolai Volkov, I guess a famous Russian wrestler from the past. I don't know how old he was when he passed away, but once again, my condolences to his family, to the wrestling world, and all that admired him. I listened to him sing the Russian national anthem, and I've been asked to replicate it. So here is my version.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That's my American version of the Russian national anthem. So that's my version and how I sing my beautiful lyrics. I will see you next week. From Mama Cabana, thanks.
And I do want to give an RIP, and I want to dedicate the show this week to Nikolai, to Brian Christopher, Brickhouse Brown, and Trevor Lee's father, Tracy. Keep them in your thoughts. They're part of our history. That's why we've got these Hall of Fames. Keep this stuff alive. All right, this has been The Art of Wrestling for Colt Cabana. I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.
I do have to say to the sponsors of the podcast, I think it might be a good idea to fly me out to one of Colt Cabana's venues. I can sign autographs. So what do you think? Let's rally for me. Let's rally for Mama Cabana.